Hey YouTube, part 2. I'm not sure whether I've managed to stitch the two of these videos together without having to bother doing any editing, or whether I've just put the two videos sort it. So I did a wee bit of a, I don't say a rush job. I did it fine. Anyway, I just had to do it now for this guitar because the guy's coming to pick it up because he happens to be in Glasgow on an errand and he's swinging by. I've just had a message from him 2 minutes ago saying, "Oh, I've still got another couple of things to do anyway. It'll be a bit longer." And it's like, I've already done a video and done the work on the guitar, so I'm going to do another video, so this could be the sort of after. I did check the scale length because I was feeling it was quite small. It is 25.5-inch Fender scale length. I suppose a sensible thing to do if you're looking up this, you might be trying to find bits for it. So at the 12th fret it's 50mm, and at the last fret it's 54mm. The string spacing at the actual bridge is 50mm. So it's a 50mm string spacing bridge you're after. Normally it's 52 or 54. Normally the pickup's 52, so it's probably, well, it's easy to do. I'll have a look at this here. Strat hanging up there. It's 54. Yeah, so it's a 50mm instead of a 54, which I think is the standard, assuming that Strat is standard, which I think it is. Yeah, so now it's got a coil split. So everything's just the same. In fact, it was only 5 minutes ago I was doing it, so that's not the right button. So the backing track is still going from the last one. Yeah, but now I've got single coils. I was in B with it. Humbucker. Single. Tone working. Stacking the box pedal. Humbucker. Single. Just put these strings back on it again. So I'm surprised this won't help tune as long as it has. Yeah, so I wonder why it feels so small. It doesn't. Maybe it's just because it's got one. Is it just down to the fact that the neck doesn't get wider? Here, in fact, where I've still got that ruler out. I was saying there, the neck on a Strat goes up to 56 mil, something like that, and this one is clocking in at just 52. So I mean, 4mm doesn't seem like an awful lot, but it feels an awful lot here. As I was saying, a lot of this, it's actually got a date on it. 888 was when the inspection sticker was. So round about that time is when people started making guitars much cheaper. And if this was a new run, then 88 might be the first year of these, they were maybe a bit more impressive. You know, like maybe it was the first run of them. I mean, I was talking to the owner of it, saying, you know, if you're being sceptical, maybe you're thinking what they did was oh, here's a new guitar line, blah blah blah. So the shop's going to go, oh, okay, well, give us like, you know, 4 or 5, you know, give us one of each colour sort of thing. We'll see what they're like. So they get them in, they're like this. Oh, these are actually pretty good. And then the following 6 months later, they'll order 100 of them, and they might not be quite as high quality as the original batch sort of thing. Also, I think there was an element of cost cutting all the way by the time, especially by the time it got to sort of 88, 89. Same as I always talk about this drop off point around about the late 80s when Washburn, Aria Pro, Westtone, all my favourite brands sort of stopped doing what they were doing and then started doing super strats. And I think year on year, so they could keep the prices down, they realised that, you know, if they could produce a guitar at £100, they'll sell so many more of them than if it was 120. So they're just trying to, rather than, so they can keep the price at 100 or 150, whatever their price point is, they've just made the guitar slightly cheaper every year so they can make more money. And it sort of shows that starting to happen in Korea. So I think maybe the similar sort of thing might have happened with this. You know, the next year, it's a great selling guitar, it's fine, what can we do with it next year? It's like, well, you know, inflation would like to put the price up. Oh, we can't do that. And it's like, well, tell you what, maybe we'll be able to use slightly cheaper wood, and it's like that'll save you a few quid per guitar. Fine, we'll do that. I also think there's an element of all the good wood's kind of gone. Like when the maple you get in like sort of the late 80s, early 90s, even if you bought cheap stuff to make the cheapest guitar you could, you didn't get, you know, there was an awful lot more nice stuff that was more readily available. Whereas now, if you try you buy like a low end Squire or something like that, you can sort of tell that the wood isn't, you know, the best you can get. Whereas this feels and looks like a much, well, obviously it's going to be a more expensive guitar. I think it's probably the cheapest guitar you could buy at the time. But you know, it feels, it's much more like what we'd be looking at, like a £500, £1,000, you know, like an American Fender type wood, rather than being that sort of anemic and, you know, obviously cheaply made wood. Yeah. So I will be looking up for another Sunn Mustang like this. Even the cheaper ones, I think the thing that's kind of almost put me off a bit is that neck pocket thing. So I can't be swapping necks about, which I quite like to do sometimes. So you need to have the body and the neck, and then the funny bridge spacing size, but it's only 50mm instead of 54. Which, if you put a normal bridge on, it means that your strings are going to overhang the edge of the fretboard. Maybe not. They might not physically overhang it, but they'll be damn close. You know, just not quite right. I believe there's something about a Yamaha Pacifica might be a funny size bridge as well. But that's if you were going to try and upgrade the bridge. If you're just going to hardtail it like this, then it doesn't really make any difference whether you've got like a big block on the back or anything like that. It's super tight to the body. It's technically just a hardtail. Although I suppose you could argue there's probably a bit of reverb that comes off the springs. I mean, I've got the reverb on, but there's probably some. You know, it's got a bit of a ringing. Clapton, of course, likes that ringing. He has when he gets his guitars made by Fender, he wants it hardtailed, so no trem bar, so it doesn't move, but he still wants the springs in the back, so he doesn't just want a hardtail one. Rock on.